Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Vice Chair Johnson, I am, Ms. Darius Ledger is on the line, and I am expecting Ms. Brody and Mr. Walker to be joining shortly.
All right. Outstanding. Just let me know when we're ready to go.
Okay. In the meantime, I will screen share the agenda. All right, it is 8:31. Vice Chair Johnson, if you would like to just get started to respect time, I know they'll be joining shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Want to respect everyone's time and just want to thank everyone for being on the day after the Super Bowl. Looks like everyone has eaten well, and sad day because the Patriots were not in the Super Bowl, but it's okay. We will get back to glory at some day. But as a point of good news, my son did win his Pee Wee flag football championship, and they gave him a nice little shiny ring, and it's really awesome. And so the Patriots didn't win, but Ashton William Johnson won something, which made my heart glow. And along with that, he's home with a stomach virus. So you just can't win. And we believe in academic achievement over here, but we hate absenteeism. But these days, you just can't help. So welcome to the Committee of the Whole. And it's very good to see each and every one of you. I'm going to throw it over to the superintendent to lead us further. And I do see Board Member Brody, Board Member Drestel Ledger, and we'll be having other board members join as we go along. My name is Vice Chair A.J. Johnson, and we'll now turn it over to Dr. Leslie Torres Rodriguez.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. Congratulations to Ashton for his win and the team. And we're going to kick us off with the first item on the agenda, Ms. Santiago, which is the contract discussion for the vendor name is Partners for Educational Leadership, who has been in front of this team before. And I'll just do a quick context setting and then turn it over to the team. So the purpose here is to develop and implement an assistant principal pathway program and the curriculum, which will help us identify staff in Hartford Public Schools that already have the 092 administrator certification, as well as the teaching certification, and then provide for them an opportunity to not only develop into strong, highly effective leaders, but help us establish a pool of candidates. If you remember last time we were before you, we did, and you all approved the contract for the aspiring principal program, aspiring administrator program, which is up and running. And at that time, when the team was doing all of their recruiting and engaging in the information sessions, there was a high level of interest for those that possessed the 092 and wanted to move into an administrative opportunity. And so here we are. I'll turn it over to either, let's see, Daisy Torres Hill. You're here, I see you, yes. And then I know that Dr. Ratley is on as well. So Ms. Torres Hill, I'll turn it over to you so that you can just talk about the, the objectives and all of the other details for our committee of the whole.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Dr. Torres Rodriguez. Vice Chair Johnson, I just wanted to say congratulations to your son, and good morning to all the board members, colleagues, and partners on the call. Thank you, Christina, for taking lead on our slide deck. I just wanted to begin today's presentation with just a quick, brief overview of our program design, followed by an overview of the contract summary, and then I'm going to conclude with any questions. And for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Daisy Torres Hill, and I am the Acting Assistant Superintendent of Professional Learning and Multilingual Learners. Great. So I love this slide here from the Wallace Foundation, because I think it's really important to highlight the importance of leadership development as being second to teachers among the critical factors that contribute to student success, right? And as the superintendent noted, when we launched our Hartford Principal Leadership Academy, there was interest from our leaders and teacher leaders in the district who are ready to grow and develop in their leadership skills, which is prompting us to be here today to request a contract expansion in terms of how we are going to move forward providing an assistant principal leadership academy. You can turn to the next slide, Christina. Thank you. As Dr. Torres Rodriguez mentioned, in November, the board approved a contract with Partners for Educational Leadership, right, for the development and implementation of a Hartford Principal Leadership Academy. This academy is for aspiring Hartford principals, and that program is currently in progress. As an expansion to our pipeline programs, we are ready to design an aspiring assistant principal program. The purpose of this pipeline is to identify a cohort of 12 to 15 aspiring assistant principals to participate in an intensive year-long professional learning journey to develop their leadership skills and knowledge needed to be a highly effective school administrator here in Hartford. And I want to know that this is what these pipeline programs are about. It's leaders who we want to retain in Hartford. As part of the program, fellows will attend 10 leadership development sessions with our partners in educational leadership, PEL. They will also be matched with a coach that will provide coaching sessions that is aligned to their needs and interests and the capstone project that they will design and develop. The conclusion of the program, they will complete this project and be able to present their findings and their learnings throughout the year. You can go to the next slide, Christina, and this will be our final one before we move to the contract summary. In collaboration with the Hartford Leadership Development Advisory Council, a program timeline has been developed. And so upon approval of this contract, the council will finalize program design and we'll begin planning sessions with our partners, PEL. The idea is that we want to launch with a summer kickoff in this summer, and then begin our program in the fall that will conclude at the end of the school year. Christina, you can now share the contract summary. I'm ready for that. And while Christina's doing that, I would like to just share that we've had a really successful launch to our principal pipeline program. We are in session 3, and I'm excited to now request approval for a contract with partners to support the development and implementation of this AP pipeline program. As the superintendent mentioned, this program is designed for staff with an 092 and Connecticut teaching certification. And it is an opportunity to grow and develop into highly effective leaders. Partners for Educational Leadership is a nonprofit organization with a mission to partner with educational leaders to reimagine teaching and learning, dismantle instructional inequities, and support systemic improvement so that all students can flourish. The vision for Partners is a future in which our educational system provides every student an excellent and equitable education, leading to a rewarding and productive life. So in terms of the contract context, the goal of this program is to build a sustainable talent pipeline, which will result in a pool of candidates who will be prepared to take on key leadership roles that impact student success. To develop this pipeline, we seek to create robust professional learning and job-embedded coaching opportunities for 12 to 15 internal aspiring leaders. So I want to note that this is an internal pipeline program. In terms of the scope and services, the proposed contract will cost $110,000 and include 4 key components. As I mentioned, we are looking to have a one-day summer kickoff, and that's about the program's first session in which we participants will learn more about their fellow participants, the program design and facilitation, and proposed outcomes. Our hope there is to kick it off with building participant excitement for the remaining sessions. Design and facilitation of monthly sessions is another component 2 of this program. And then this part, 2 PEL partners will plan, prep, facilitate, and assess the additional sessions for program participants. We will be utilizing our own created Hartford HPLA curriculum as a foundation with Hartford-specific materials included to provide that AP context. There will be coaching as part component 3, and each participant will receive 5 coaching sessions. And there is a bit of a cost savings here, and that is because, as we just mentioned, we are using PEL for our principal academy, and with some savings that we accrued there, given that we didn't fill all of our spots, we do have some money here that we're putting towards this program, where we will see quite a bit of interest. In terms of the contract term, we don't anticipate needing necessarily to renew this contract in its entirety in future years. And the idea here is to build our own internal capacity, and then we already have an in-house program curriculum that will be our own, so that we can use that with future cohorts. This contract will be funded by ESSER and supports the district model of excellence through skillful staff and effective operations and high-quality teaching and learning. On the call today, we have Richard Lemons, Executive Director for Partners for Educational Leadership, and he's here to answer any of the questions regarding the contract. I am also here to talk about any questions around program design. So I will open it up at this time to any questions.
All right. I see Board Member Walker on. I see a few other colleagues joined. I might have a hand. I have 2 hands. We're going to go ladies first. Ms. Brody, you have the floor. Ms. Brody, yeah.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And I just, through you, Mr. Chair, I want to take the liberty to say, if we're addressing everyone formally, because sometimes we're not formal, and you say Shantae, that's fine with me. But if I'm referred to Board Member Brody or Miss Brody, Miss Santiago should be Miss Santiago and not Christina. For everyone, I think is just right. I've said it before. But my question would be, is there anyone, like, I know we had some other training that we were able to, like, they couldn't take a training and like use it in another district. But I'm assuming this is a training, it's just leadership. So there's no way that we're training staff and they could take it and go to another town. But do we give like some type of certificate of completion? Like what's given to them other than within our school system, you are trained and we believe you are capable for an assistant principal position?
Thank you for that question, Board Member Brody. And I would like to add that the contract does include an MOU, which is very similar to what we did with the principal pipeline. And the idea is for them to remain with us for 2 years. And yes, to your question, there is a program like certificate completion. There will be a little graduation, a celebration of their year-long learning. And we will invite board members, we will invite a central office to hear their learning and see for themselves their readiness, right, for the next level of leadership. But the idea here is to build their capacity, to help them grow, and to keep them and retain them in district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Board Member Brody. Board Member Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so I guess Assistant Principal Hill, I'm kind of questioning the value of needing the contract. As you expressed, as I'm listening to it, this is the type of program that I would expect to be driven by more senior leadership within the district to help develop the talent pool of your up and coming stars, for lack of a better word. I mean, we identify them, we groom them, and so I guess what I'm asking is, why the need for PEL here? What you said at the end would have been what I expected would have come out the principal pipeline, develop internal capacity, and so then we can go launch this program with our internal capacity. Can we not wait and go ahead, develop the internal capacity you're talking about, and then launch this program with our internal capacity? And I'm saying that really in light of the fact that we're already freezing, we're going to have cost cutting. If I had to make a call in terms of what I could live without, this feels like a program I could potentially live without if it's about saving money for other essential activities.
Thank you for your question, Board Member Walker. I think it's a valid one. And what I would say to that is, in years past, the Department of Professional Learning was a much larger department. Right now, we are myself overseeing a department of 1, and I also have other leadership roles. So we consider ourselves a 1.5, if you will, in terms of that, building that capacity. So to be honest with you, it is a hard lift for the initial, but the idea is exactly what you're describing, is to build it now. We're building so that we can now do it internally, right? And so we're leaning in on PEL because they're helping us to develop the Hartford-owned curriculum. So what's beautiful about this is that we get to own it. Like in other contracts, you might have to, use the vendors. This will become ours, which then we can then replicate in future years. In terms of our principals, what I'm imagining doing right now is we don't know what our capacity for vacancies. We don't have that forecasted yet. But for any of our fellows this year from our principal academy who are not assuming a principal role, we would love to use them, right, in the next fall's AP pipeline to help continue to build that leadership capacity and to keep them warm on the bench, right? So we don't, we don't lose their excitement. So we want to continue to grow the program, and that's why we don't anticipate having to renew the contract again with PEL. And so this is like a nice way to build it, and then we will sustain it in future years. I'm going to ask Richard also if he has anything that he would like to add in terms of some of this design work up front.
Ms. Hill, before Richard, and I just want to also add for Board Member Walker with what Ms. Hill just mentioned, it's part of a strategic spend down, turning your attention to the ESSER funding, which we know will at one point no longer be part of a strategic spin down in terms of building capacity in our leaders, and then all the other things that Ms. Torres Hill just shared around being able to retain those materials to use for future as well. Richard?
Good morning. It's an honor to be here with the Committee of the Whole this morning. In terms of the questions, I think as an outsider to Hartford Public Schools, I think one, we're clearly at a point in time where elected officials are having to make really sound, appropriate fiscal decisions for the health of municipalities right now. So I totally appreciate the question about, is this the right strategic investment of resources for our internal capacity? And I think that in some ways that's a question for the board and the administration. I will say that it is a very common practice, just working with districts across the state, but also across the entire United States. It is a common practice to work with folks who already have established capacity in developing curriculum and developing facilitators' guides, to developing academic tasks that really develop future leaders that are tied to best practice, leading practice and scholarship, but also anchored in the context of the district. So we're honored to even be invited to the table. We believe that Hartford is a really important district for this entire state. It sends a signal, and anytime we have the opportunity to work shoulder to shoulder with the talented educators in Hartford, we always benefit.
If I may, I just want to also add the overabundance of interest. I would say that we heard when the initial recruitment and information sessions were going on throughout. The majority of the interest came from those that are our teacher leaders, our instructional coaches, teachers that have the O92 and really want to progress, and they want to do that here in our district. They're committed to Hartford Public Schools and they want to remain here. And so I also see it as an investment in that way. They're really thirsty, hungry for more learning and growth. And when we think about the last 2 years and all of the investments and the groups that we have invested in terms of professional development and growth, this is the group that we have fallen a little short on in terms of their administrative leadership capacity building. So I wanted to add that as well.
All right. Thank you for that. Just want to be clear. I want to see if Board Member Brody, your hand is up on my screen, but I'm not sure if that's still the old hand or a new hand.
No, it's not. It's new. My question is similar to what I asked when we were doing the principal program, is that there's other leadership programs out there, in that a teacher who is an O92 that decides to go through another program, and it could be a variety of reasons, that they are not looked at like, you're not from this program, you got your own training, and they will have the same opportunity and shot for the positions that come up.
Yes, Board Member Brody, yes. This is a attempt to provide this robust professional learning, but we will open up, the selection process to all, right? But we want to just make sure that we're, also providing opportunities to this program provides a little bit with the Hartford context, right? And I know personally, as a product of a similar program, it does help to gel the two worlds together in terms of your 092 prep and then your own, like the context of the district, but it will still be opened up to all in terms of following the selection process in collaboration with our Office of Talent Management.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brody. Board Member Walker, I believe this is a new hand I'm seeing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll, this is in response to Superintendent's comment about the interest in the program. I'm gonna say, I guess, Assistant Superintendent Hill and by extension to the superintendent, let's track and really put some focus on hiring from within, because I think what I hear at times is there are key hires made at central office that are from the outside. They're people from who are members of the Hartford Public Schools staff who apply for roles who are not selected, and in maybe not in getting selected, aren't pointed and groomed and told, you know what, you didn't get selected, but you know what, we still value you, we want to use you, da. And so we have people who leave Hartford and go do wonderful things with other districts. And so one benefit that I would like to see is maybe us doing some real tracking, not only of the participants, but as Ms. Brody says, let's look at our 092s across this district. How are we using them? Can we show that we have some track record of really hiring within? And if we're not, to really track the skill sets we said we don't have that we need to hire from without. But let's put some focus to see, can we get some reporting back in the next 6 months to a year of how our hiring has been impacted by this training and grooming and our staff getting 092. I know I'm going on a little bit, but to me, the 092 is supposed to be this grooming that prepares you to do administrative work within a district. And so I appreciate this program, but we should have a way of using our highly talented 092s today. And I guess my ask is, let's get reporting on how and what goes on with our 092s and the participants of this program.
Thank you, Board Member Walker. I'm taking notes, but that is actually one of our program design elements, is creating a leadership tracking system. So you're right on with what we were talking about. So more to come on that, but yes, and we plan to give a board update at the end of the year with our principal pipeline. So I would love to re-engage with you around that and with the whole board. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Walker. And I think your point is well taken. And I also share those sentiments as well. But, you know, I also like what I'm hearing, elevating and getting folks into this potential program. We have a time check. So, Dr. Superintendent, anything else on this particular issue or matter?
I think we can move on, and just a reminder to our board members, of course, as always, if you have additional questions that come up for you, please don't hesitate to send them over to us.
Okay, awesome. I believe we're ready to move forward.
Yes, the next item is the acceptance of funds for community schools grant, and we have Chief Blackburk and Miss Janelle Hooker on the call.
All right, Chief Blackburk, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Just for process, just wanted to make sure that the superintendent was not going to speak to this. That's perfect. Okay. Thank you much. All right. Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope, as board member Pastor Johnson shared, that everybody's, feeling well and was up late watching the Super Bowl, but we are all here, so that's a good thing. So this is an acceptance of funds for the Full Service Community Schools Grant. The total amount is $2,104,428 for a contract term of January 2024 through December of 2028. This is a grant, it's a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Education and the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education. And the title is listed here, and I won't read that, but our office, we did submit a proposal to the U.S. Department of Education, and it was accepted, and we actually received a perfect score for this particular grant application. And so the focus of the grant is that these funds would be specific to 3 of our schools. And the schools will be viewed as almost like a pilot to continue to assess student readiness at key transition points. And we are looking to utilize this grant. And also, while we have received, or should I say the city has received, a Promise Neighborhood grant, and many of our community schools in that area, Milner, San Weaver, Wish, and MLK are a part of that. We are looking to utilize some of the same components from that grant in this particular full service community school grant. So these funds will be used to enhance our system of student supports, expand in-school and out-of-school programs and activities, continue to increase involvement of families and community, and build our capacity for collaborative leadership and professional development. Outcomes include increased access for Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, and to develop competencies, transferable skills aligned to our curriculum. A requirement of this grant is that we have a third-party evaluator to assess and just maintain the fidelity to the model. And right now we are looking to work with the University of Hartford Center for Social Research. They were definitely instrumental in assisting with getting this grant submitted. Our objectives are listed here. Just the alignment to the student support in school and out of school, the increased involvement of family and community, as I shared, and then to build the capacity for our collaborative leadership and professional development. Alignment, definitely aligned to all of our strategic priorities. And Christina, if you, excuse me, Ms. Santiago, if you can go down a little bit. Thank you. And our outcomes and our performance measures are listed here. So looking at the performance measures, because I do know that's important to our board, the well-being service delivery. So we are looking at a decrease percentage of students chronically absent by 3 points each year to improve outcome on student motivation, feeling safe and supported on our culture and climate survey, 15% by 2028. And then listed here is the academic achievement. We are looking for an increased performance by 3% in core academic subjects and an increase of students learning at grade level by 3% each year. Moving down to the active family and community engagement, just increase parental engagement in the decision-making process by 3 parents per quarter, and decrease of students that are truant by 3% each year. The other one under collaborative leadership that I just wanted to call out is consistent and ongoing engagement by district and our partners. We want to continue to build in that area, working with our partners here in our wonderful city. Our reason for contracting, again, we received a perfect score, providing validity to the need for implementation of this proposed pilot strategy. We took some time. We are happy to report that we have applied for this grant in the past. And so really excited that we were able to be successful through this RFP for this particular grant, this federal grant. So we're really excited about that. And there is a breakdown of the budget that's listed here that we also wanted to include for your review. This is a federal 5-year grant, also listed the stakeholder engagement, the various partners that were involved in the application process, the city, Connecticut Children's, Charter Oak Cultural Center, Compass, and also the University of Hartford for our evaluation. And so that was a lot of information that I shared, but wanted to just pause right there, Ms. Santiago and Board Member Johnson, if there are questions, and myself and Ms. Hooker would be happy to address them.
Certainly. Thank you so much for that presentation. And what I like most about it is that it is a federal grant over a period of time, which gives us some flexibility to evaluate, and it doesn't press us for the impending school year. So I see Board Member Walker's hand. Board Member Walker, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, Chief Blackburk, I share the excitement of Chairman Johnson. This is a great grant. My first wish is that you could replicate this, because I believe all our community schools need this level of focus support, particularly as it relates to educational access. Two questions, or maybe a comment. The metrics, I'm glad you have metrics. I can't immediately tell if the 3% is the right percentage, but I think the metrics you are tracking seem to make sense and lined up. I have a question about the budget piece. I just wanted to understand our obligation. It seems like we have some, and reading through it, I figure you may be more, not that piece, but down lower, there seems to be some obligations that the district we have some contributions we need to make, and then there's some cost analysis too. So can you help us understand, is there some commitment that we're supposed to make as partners in this?
Thank you so much for the question, Ms. Board Member Walker. And yes, and thank you for the excitement. In this HPS, as you know, in a particular grant like this, HPS, we would be looking to utilize and codify what it does cost to ensure that the utilities are going to be on, the use of the buildings. So those are the pieces that HPS would be contributing. And we did list out here that the utilities throughout the life of the project, which would include 2% increase per year to account for inflation. So those are the pieces that HPSES, what are some of those in-kind costs? We are really trying to get to a place as an office that we are actually listing for ourselves when folks ask, like, what is the cost of using a building? What is the cost of the utilities for programming in our buildings? So that is where HPS will be doing its contribution. And Ms. Hooker, if there's anything that I failed to add there, if you could fill that in.
Yeah, the only other thing that I would add is we would have some in-kind percentages of Chief Blackburk's oversight, as well as myself, and our as part of overview our management of this grant. So there's some in-kind percentage of our salaries that HPS is responsible for. That is not listed in the grant.
Thank you very much. If I can add a quick follow-up and request.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, Chief Blackburk, this is going to be a multi-year program. So my expectation is you'll implement some initiatives and have some success. I would love for your group to try to report back or create some kind of like scalability kind of assessment or analysis, because there's something that really is working well in the Burr MD Fox Buckley vertical here. It'd be great to have it be scalable, where we could maybe figure out, for this much money, we could fund it and get it to McDonough, and then the McDonough HPHS vertical would be better. And you get what I'm saying? If we get some good learnings here, I don't want us to have to wait 5 years to, if you guys create something where we could then maybe go advocate to the state or to the city for additional funds where this is really beneficial. I'm going on, but
I just have as an ask that you kind of add that to your report out and kind of how you're assessing, you know, this benefit to us as a district.
Thank you. Thank you, Board Member Walker. Mr. Chair, is it okay if I respond?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Absolutely. No, thank you for that. And that is noted. Myself and Ms. Hooker definitely would want to be reporting either quarterly or semi-annually on the progress of the grant. So definitely that is noted, Mr. Walker, that we will be reporting back out. And I like, as you shared, on a scalability analysis. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Board Member Brody, I see, has her hand raised. Board Member Brody.
Thank you. So under the cost analysis, are we able to break down what those numbers are? Is like they're in lump sums? And then in the budget part for the it's like travel expenses, like for us to understand. And I don't know, so this is acceptance of funds. Is there also an approval process for us to approve an actual plan that we would probably get the answers to all the questions that I asking now? Even the 3%, like what does, okay, 3%, is that 3% across the board? Does, and as far as academics, does that equate to a letter grade? Or it's just a lot of stuff that I have questions on, but I don't know if it's, and we're gonna accept funds. And I'm assuming if we're saying we presented it this way and we have to go with what we're looking at right now, then I guess it is a clarifying question for right now. I just would like some of these numbers to be more clarified. And I don't know if a plan is sitting somewhere, but it's not for today.
Yep, Chief Blackburg. Feel free, and don't wait for me to give a approval.
Okay.
Just keep the conversation flowing. Yeah.
Thank you. Just trying to follow process and protocol. Thank
Appreciate
you.
Appreciate it. Respect
Mr.
it. Thank
Chair. And thank you, Ms. Brody, for the question. So the breakdown here, yes, the total amount is over the course of the 5 years. And Ms. Santiago, if you could go back up to the very top under the contract amount. And I do apologize, everyone. I'm still fighting a little cold, so forgive me. Under the contract amount, it is broken down by what the allocation is per year. So Ms. Hooker, what I'm going to ask us to do is just under those roles, just to break it down or break it out per year, and we can get that back to Ms. Santiago for Ms. Brody's review. And the second part of your question, yes, there is a plan. We did have to submit to the federal government what we would be doing, and we also have that. So if that is something that you would like to see as far as what the actual plan is overall that the federal government has approved and why they approved this particular grant, that can also be shared. And I think those were the two questions. But if I forgot one, Ms. Brody, please remind me.
No, those were the two. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So the schools that were mentioned, because I'm thinking, okay, you said there's some city funds to cover some other schools, but is it going to be equitable, right? Is what do we know what the city is given and they're going to cover these schools so we can focus on some others, but will it look equitable with the federal funding and with the city funding? Is that information available yet?
So, Mr. Chair, just for clarification, I don't believe I mentioned the city funding, but the three schools that were selected, Emily, Fox, Burr, and Buckley, these funds will go to build out what we have described here. And I believe what Mr. Walker was alluding to is that as we are looking at the implementation and the scalability, how are we codifying what is happening? So we could petition the state and or the city for future funds. And hopefully I captured that correctly. That's how I have that written down, Mr. Walker. So Ms. Brody, I hope that clarifies.
I thought the initial, when we started the presentation, there was mention, I thought I heard Weaver, Milner, and some other school in reference to funding they're getting. That wasn't said?
Thank you, Ms. Brody. The North Hartford Ascend Pipeline or the Promise Zone, those are 5 schools. Those 5 schools currently are a part of our full service implementation. And currently the school district does provide funding to the agencies that are providing work in those buildings. We are utilizing the full service model in the North End, and what is being done that in those schools was how we built out the application here. So just want to make sure that that's clear, that the school district, we have been supporting them. We brought those community school contracts before the board a couple of times, but the city of Hartford is not supporting the implementation of that community school work through the North Hartford Ascend Pipeline.
Funding wise, because I'm trying to, this is, well, I guess if I say what I'm trying to get to, you'll understand while I'm asking.
Okay.
So if we are focusing, if we're just naming 3 schools, then we have multiple community schools across the district. So I'm saying, are we saying we're focusing in this particular grant on these 3 schools because the other schools that are not included in this grant, the ones that, you know, the Weaver, Milner, and whatever other schools, they're not included in this particular grant. So how sure are we that we'll know that we are able to have programming and that is equitable in those schools that's not included in this particular grant? Because because when we do community school funds, we don't exclude, like it's all across the district when we do community school funding. But I'm just trying to assure that, okay, we, in this grant, we're saying, yep, these schools are going to be our priority, but are the other schools going to be well taken care of? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. And I believe that's a valid question. And I can't say that I have an answer for that currently. We do know that as we continue to move through, you know, our fiscal outlook, we'll continue to determine, you know, what will be available to continue to support across the district. But this particular grant was written with a focus on MD Fox, Burr, and Buckley, and do appreciate what you are raising, just making sure that there is equity across all of our community schools here in the district. So thank you for raising that. But currently, how this grant is being presented is that this is to support those 3 schools as we look to really codify the connections between the academics and the out of school time component.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know that follow-up, Mr. Chair, who is that for? Because we are doing our due diligence as we should to secure grants and funding. But when we hear that multi-million-dollar deficit, it would make me think that, well, what's going to happen with these other schools? Will we have funding? But we're saying these particular schools, we're secure, but the other schools, will they not? So that's a follow-up that I would like some clarity on. Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. And I certainly believe you bring a valid point. And I think that, Christina, if we can come back to that question of how we offer supports to the other schools, would would be helpful. Let's not, let's not go 2 weeks without having that conversation or seeing what is available. This is the last question on this agenda item with Mr. Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll be super brief. I wanted to react to Board Member Brody's question, and to say, Board Member Brody, that's where I was trying to get at with the question of scalability. I'm going to accept that Chief Blackburk has told us this is a pilot program, so it's not going to address all our schools. It's a pilot program, so there's already going to be an equity gap there. That's why I was asking her to do some kind of scalability analysis to figure out, as we're rolling this as we're implementing this program, to try to determine how much would it cost to then have this type of program implemented in the other community schools. So we'd have at least a budgetary go-get to go advocate. To answer your question, to be equitable, we're eventually going to have to go request additional funds. Hopefully this program will help us understand how much additional funds we need and what those funds exactly be used for, and would these funds actually do some earthly good. I'm hoping Chief Blackburk's program will answer all that for us. So that didn't totally answer your question, but I kind of want you to know that I was seeking that same type of thing in what I was requesting that she do.
Appreciate it. So I don't want to lose the fact that, again, what I'm taking away from this as it pertains to accepting of funds from a community school grant, that we would be, but I just want to get a tone from Board Member Walker and Board Member Brody. Are we okay to receive these funds from the federal government?
Oh, absolutely. We will receive the funds gladly. Yes.
Okay. All right. Board Member Brody.
Yes.
Okay. All right. But I'm also hearing what you all are saying, which I totally agree with. Is, how do we supplement the other schools and find opportunities for them so they're not left in the dust as we head to this shortfall of this clip that we have. All right. Let us move forward. Superintendent or Christina, can we move forward to the approval of Phase 1 construction of the census and canal?
Yes, and I believe we have Chief Davis Googe on the call.
Good morning. So we come before you today to provide an update on Betances and the Kennelly projects. We're here specifically to discuss Phase 1 of both projects, which is the installation of the temporary classroom building that will be located on both sites. As you know, it's an occupied renovation, so therefore this temporary building will support that building during construction. Here with me today, I have Mr. Paul Drummy. He is the Director of Capital Projects and Operations for the City of Hartford, and also the Program Management Team from Colliers, Scott Pellman and Ray Riley. Director Drummy, unless you have something else to add, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Pellman.
No, nothing to add, Chief Davis Googe. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Again, Scott Pellman from Colliers Project Leaders. If I could share my screen, and I know you've got a lot on your plate this morning, so I'll do my best to keep things moving. I believe everyone should be able to hopefully see the screen in front of you. So we have two presentations this morning, as Sherry laid out, is for the Betances and Kennelly projects. You will note we do have two different architects, so I apologize. The graphic presentations are a little different, but I'll try and run you through. And what the ultimate goal is this is a presentation to get you up to speed on where we are with the project, and specifically the phase one implementing phase, preparing the school sites with temporary classrooms to get us ready to start the construction process. So that's currently the phase that we're going to be bringing to both the full board and to the building committee for approval to take those documents to the state. Very high level, we are currently on schedule. Again, on schedule for a fall 2027 opening. The design team is approximately 75% complete with the renovation documents for the building, this specifically for Betances. We have been meeting with the administration and getting good feedback on the overall progress, layout, design, and how that is achieving and meeting the ed spec for this project. And again, action item not for this group, not for the committee as a whole, but we will be coming next week in front of the Board of Ed and High School Building or Hartford School Building Committee for approval to take the drawings to the state. So from a phase standpoint, phase one is where we are, what we're presenting and discussing this morning, highlighted in green. This is for the installation of the temporary classrooms that will help facilitate the construction. We have to provide those classrooms so we have space to move the students out of the school, because both schools are fully occupied, so we can have areas to renovate. The committee should have received, and again, very large sets of documents. These were really more just for record. The drawings, the specifications for this specific phase one temporary classrooms, as well as the SCG 042, which is a form you've probably all seen in the past with the number of projects you've done, which is the form that we need to execute so we can take the drawings to the state, so the state can review the drawings and then give us the permission to go out to bid. And this is, again, just for record, very briefly, I know it's very small text. This is the form that we'll be executing. This form then goes to the state with the package of drawings for the phase one implementing phase. So we're going to be coordinating signatures of this form over the next week. So for the temporary classroom building, this is an overall site plan view of Betances. You can see the existing building here. In this case, we're able to maintain the existing parking lots as well as maintaining a playground grass area here. This will be an 8 classroom temporary building. Will be fully handicap accessible. We'll have toilets. We've been meeting with the security committee to discuss how we're securing this building. And then at the end, that will be torn down and this area will be restored back to play area, and we'll demonstrate or show that in a few more slides. This is just a blow up of the building. Again, you can see the entrance coming from the school, handicap accessible ramp. We've been going back and forth. There are 2 different options. One, toilet rooms within the facility itself or toilet rooms at the end. But again, these will be standalone facilities to support the 8 temporary classrooms to help us facilitate the construction. So I'll briefly stop there to see if there's any questions. And if not, and I apologize,
Just checking. Hold on 1 second. Hold on,
Yep.
just checking to see if there's any questions from my colleagues. I don't see any hands, but just want to be sure. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't see any questions. Go for it.
So that really is a very high level overview of phase one of the temporary classrooms, where that will be located. We did want to give this committee just a brief update of where we are. As we talked about in the beginning slides, we're approximately 75% the architect through design. This is actually a rendered plan of the final product, where you'll have a separate bus drop-off loop. Again, this is the area that you saw where the temporary classrooms are going to be. This is going to be restored as a grass play area and 2 different play structures for the students. Again, maintaining the existing parking off of Charter Oak and in around the back of the school. The elevations for Betances remain, for the most part, unchanged. I mean, it's a beautiful building. The brick is going to be repointed and restored. Doorways, all exterior doorways addressed, all new windows, roofing. So the entire building shell is going to be fully renovated. But from an aesthetic standpoint, it's a beautiful building, this neighborhood school, and that will be maintained. There is a very small addition on the back. We'll show that to you shortly in plans. Please don't be thrown by the color on this. This was, again, something just done by the architect. We've discussed this, and this addition is actually going to be brick, and it will match the brick of the existing building. So it hopefully when it's all said and done, you may not even know that this was an addition sometime in the future. And again, we have the last elevation, but you can really see that the building is going to remain unchanged. From a plan standpoint, the plan, we're really focusing on the large plan here. This is the current plan development. This was an earlier iteration showing original space layouts. You can see here, this is the addition, the small addition in the rear of the building. The majority of that is going to be provide additional space for the cafeteria. We're looking at outdoor equipment storage, expanding that, and mechanical room. In order to facilitate renovating the building, we need to get new mechanicals, new electricals, so we can start feeding out the renovated areas. Every program space, this lower level is pre-K, but has been accounted for from the ed spec. There's been some organizational improvements. The elevator has been relocated to facilitate better flow and work better with the plan. Kitchen remains in the basement or in the lower level. First level, again, the majority of the spaces in the school have remained unchanged. There are some differences in the administrative suite. A new administrative suite is being built on the opposite side of the main entry stair. Again, that's partly due to phasing. We need to get this new administration area built so we can move from the existing one over to the new. Again, you can see that the program spaces are all labeled and have been incorporated within the existing footprint of the building. Moving up to the second floor, we've got our first grade classrooms, media center, makerspace, second grade, and then on to the upper third floor, again, where you see our upper grades of the third and fourth grade students. So again, 75% done. We're looking to probably be coming back to this group sometime in the summer, early fall, to get approval to take this phase 2 set off to the state for review, but no action on this. Again, really just coming in front of you just to review the phase 1 temporary classrooms. So I'll stop there just for a moment before moving on to Kelly. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I just wanted to do a time check so we can make sure we get all the schools in. I don't see any hands for questions, but please feel free to move on to the next.
Okay.
Next.
So
And
with
again,
that,
this is not to be disrespectful or anything. Just want to respect everyone's time.
absolutely, do my best to move through this as quickly as possible. So on to the Kennelly School again. From a schedule standpoint, we're looking for Kennelly to be complete the fall of 27. Again, similar to Betances, the design team is approximately 75% complete with the drawings. And we're again presenting this morning the approach to phase 1 temporary classrooms. Kennelly is a little bit different from Betances, as is Betances was a pre-K 4. This is pre-K 8. So there's a lot more program to be provided for this school for the different age groups. Again, from a phasing standpoint, phase 1 shown in green, very similar. We just talked about the similar documents provided. The same documents were provided for Kennelly. Phase 2, again, which should be completed, the drawings completed by the end of summer. Be coming back to this group for an update sometime in that period of time, is the main construction, all the renovations. There will be a phase 3 package, which will be furniture and equipment. And then phase 4 will be bidding separately, will be the playground. But again, today we're just here presenting phase 1, which is the temporary classrooms implementation. Again, just for apples to apples, we're just providing a copy of the form that we'll be executing next week with the full board and Hartford School Building Committee. So the phase 1 classrooms, again, here's where you get into the differences of one architectural presentation to the other. Unfortunately, we don't have the nice colored plan. This is the outline of the existing Kennelly School. I'm just tracing it with my mouse. White Street, Monroe Street. These are banks of the temporary classrooms. There's 2 classrooms in each one represented in each one of these rectangles. This plan also represents, and we'll get to a blow up a little bit later, but of the temporary parking, there is an addition, which I'll show shortly, that's going in this area that's displacing some of the parking. So this plan provides the required on-site parking, and there will be 2 playground areas, temporary playground areas, one larger off White Street in this location, and a smaller one a little bit closer to the portable classrooms here, because this area will be lost as part of the construction process. This just shows a blow up of those temporary classroom pods. There will be direct access into the building at both of these areas that are depicted by a red star. There will be gates controlling access, keeping these areas secure for direct entry in the building. Again, these will be fully handicap accessible with stairs and ramps from each side. And this is just a blow up of one pairing, one of those rectangles. We have 4 of these, but again, individual classrooms with toilet facilities located within the classroom buildings. This is just a further blow up, just showing how we're going to be temporarily creating the parking area. The area shown in light gray is going to be area that will be under construction, is going to have construction materials, equipment, and part of the building addition to support the programmatic needs. So I'll stop there briefly if there's any questions on the phase 1 temporary classrooms and planning for the Kennelly project.
My question is for all projects. I mean, just across the board that we're going to discuss just really quickly. Is there a are parents and stakeholders being made aware of, you know, the timeframes and the various different setbacks that's happening on these projects?
I can take that question. I would say absolutely, Pastor AJ. Part of this process is to, one, work with school leadership and staff. And then there's a larger advisory committee that includes parents and community members. I will say there has been some parent squares sent out to those families in the communities to keep them abreast. At this time with Betances and Kennelly, there hasn't been a setback in terms of the timing of the schedule and the planning going forward. But both principals are highly engaged and have shared out with their school governance council as well. So certainly that the response to that question is yes.
Thank you. Because the last thing you want is folks, having a project and just don't have the most up-to-date communication in terms of, what's happening. So, all right, I don't see any other hands. Christina, keep me honest on that.
I don't either.
All right,
Okay.
continue, Scott. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So what this colorful site plan shows is this is the final product. I'll start on the lower level of Monroe Street for a bus drop-off area. This area here is where the temporary classrooms are going to be. These were the two smaller playgrounds that will be created during construction. These are going to remain, but when the portables are removed, a much larger play area will be created along Monroe Street at the corner of Monroe and White. From a parent drop-off standpoint, the east parking lot is going to be made one way, which will facilitate parent drop-off parking coming off Cheshire Street, exiting out onto White. The lighter portion of this is the existing building that you can see here. This tan is the addition. And again, that was the reason for trying to increase parking in the lot here, because we were losing some of the existing parking as part of this addition. The addition was required, again, to meet programmatic requirements for the full K-8. From an elevation standpoint, again, not a lot of changes, very similar to Betances. The exterior building, all the brick will be being addressed, repointed. Again, earlier concepts which we have here, the architect was showing some metal panel. This is actually going to be changed to brick as well to better reflect the current architecture of the building, as well as being cost-effective and long-term approach from the materials being very solid and matching the existing building. But this depicts that elevation change. From a planning standpoint, this main cafeteria kitchen, electrical, mechanical, reflects the addition. This addition will create an outdoor classroom area, which is currently just a pocket into the building. The remaining portion of the addition on the first level is going to be fitness, new stair, and extension of the gymnasium. Right now, the gymnasium is not sized appropriately for a full middle school basketball court. That is being addressed and will be increased. We have our kindergarten, first grade, and pre-K on the first floor. The pre-K and multi-purpose area are taking over areas that were previously occupied by the kitchen. So we're able to provide these program areas. And again, because we're pre-K-8, having a multi-purpose room for the lower grades, a full gymnasium for the upper grades programmatically works well to serve the needs of the students. Moving on to the second floor, a new main entry. Again, reconfiguration of the main office. You can see the individual grade configurations, second, third, fourth, fifth, and seventh grade is here. The resource room, this is on top of the cafeteria. This is part of the addition here as well, providing these program spaces, some breakout special ed faculty areas as well to support the programmatic needs. And the third floor, which has 8th grade and the existing auditorium space, remains unchanged. Some updates to the toilet facility, certainly, and stairs. So that concludes the presentation of where we are with both Kennelly and Betances.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. I see that Board Member Walker has a question. Go ahead, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to wait to the end. Question, I guess, for Chief Davis-Googe. I got maybe a couple questions. One is, I thought when I went to school choice, you had an open house recently, and there seemingly was like middle school kids or some kind of additional program at the Betances building. So, it was said here that Betances is pre-K through 4. Is that still accurate, or are there not 5th and 6th graders that maybe they are coming to Betances? Did I not understand that?
Yeah, so there's Betances Learning Lab, which is pre-K through 4, and then there's Betances STEM, that's 5 through 8.
No,
So
but
those students in Learning Lab, Betances Learning Lab has a pathway to Betances STEM. So that may be what you heard.
But are they occupied in the same facility?
Oh, no. One is on Charter Oak Avenue and Betances STEM is co-located with Burr Middle.
That's what it, thank you. Okay,
You're
they're
welcome.
that's what I knew they were co-located, but with the other building. All right, then you've addressed that question. The second question is with the Kennelly School. Is very space constrained. That's in the side of the city that I'm in, and parking spaces are precious commodities down there. So out of this project, did we find a way to create more parking spaces for teachers? Or are they going to still need to park in the neighborhood? How are we envisioning the parking situation?
Yep, I'll start. It certainly is a consideration. We've talked about it on multiple occasions in our planning meetings. I think at this time we have Mr. Pellman, 3 additional at this point. The site is very tight. The building is very large. And so certainly was a key focus for the planning, but they will continue to have to use street parking. But hopefully we will get some additional parking spaces. Anything to add, Mr. Pellman?
No, I think that sums it up. I mean, again, as you correctly pointed out, it is a very tight site. I think the design team has done a very good job of trying to maximize the parking and really balancing it with opportunities for the students to get outside and have recreation in the playground areas, improve traffic flow and drop off, as well as accessibility. But I think at this point it's maxed out. They've really done a good job of trying to get as much onto the site as they possibly could.
Thank you. So the last is just a request. Chief Davis Gooch, you mentioned you've had a committee, you've done some talks. Can we get a list of that? I think I'd like to float it around to the NRZs and our community to show them the different communications that you already have done and to see if they have an interest in hearing more about this project at the community level. So if you could just provide like a list of committee folks, and so they can see who from the committee has been part of the process and the talks and meetings you've already had.
Absolutely. So I would say that I do believe we have presented once to the NRZ. Principal Cahill at Kennelly is very engaged with her NRZ. And so I actually believe there may even be a member on our advisory committee, but I'll definitely get you that information.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thus far it's just been the schematic design and also some planning and zoning permit information that has been out there. So not too much because we're still in the design phase, but we did share the schematic design.
Okay, that may be the reason that's not as much awareness. Yeah, thank you very much. Totally good sense.
Okay. Do you, Chair, if there's no additional questions?
Yep, I'm not seeing any additional questions. Again, I just want to kind of double down on a communication of the project with the community, because as we know, if communication isn't properly given on a consistent basis, then folks start to lose heart about their project and so forth and so on. So we just want to make sure that there's communication properly given around the different phases with the community. So thank you. I don't see any other questions, so we can move forward.
Thank you.
And now I will throw it over to Dr. Ratley for the update on post-secondary success.
Good morning. We have with us today Ms. Tori Niles and Ms. Liliana Cuevas, who will share an update on post-secondary success. I'm now going to turn it over to Ms. Niles, who was instrumental in leading this work up until now, and will present the update.
Hey, good morning, respective board members, colleagues, and partners. This morning, we will share an overview of our current work and its alignment to the district model of excellence. We will also discuss on-track data, advanced coursework, and college acceptances, then conclude with the next steps for the College and Career Readiness Department. A critical part of our work continues to be with the high school redesign. All three of these areas, Freshman Academy, Career Pathways, and Personalized Pathways, impact post-secondary readiness. The teacher teaming and academic interventions provided in the Freshman Academy increases the number of students not only being promoted to grade 10, but also graduating with their cohort. The Career Pathways increases student engagement and provides opportunities for field experiences. The Personalized Pathways allows for students to learn at their own pace and receive the social emotional supports needed to be successful. Next slide, please. Based on the DME, there are 3 strategies within Priority 1 of high-quality teaching and learning. Our focus this morning will be on the 3rd strategy, preparing students to be on track for high school, college, career, and life. The key actions for the CCR department are to implement high-impact programs focused on facilitating a successful academic and social-emotional transition from 8th to 9th grade, refine alternative pathways to ensure students have access to individualized, high-quality academic experiences that nurture post-secondary readiness, implement comprehensive academic and college career advising, and expand opportunities for students to engage in programming related to career exploration, career readiness, and post-secondary academic readiness. Next slide, please. So before you is the definition for on track. At the completion of grade 9, students must pass at least 6 classes, including math and English. For grade 10, students must earn 6 credits and pass at least 6 classes, including math, English, science, or social studies. For grade 11, students must earn 12 credits and pass at least 6 classes, including math, English, science, social studies, or world language. And for grade 12, students must earn 18 credits, ending the year with a total of 25 credits in order to meet graduation requirements. If a student is in need of credit attainment, students can earn credits through credit recovery, summer school, or by repeating the course. Next slide, please. So here's the 5-year trends for semester 1 on-track rates by grade level. As you can see, the rates are trending upward for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Sophomores increased from 44% to 52%. Juniors increased from 46% to 61%. And seniors increased from 55% to 74%. Seniors have surpassed pre-pandemic levels, increasing from 69% to 74%. We continuously shift our practices to recover the foundational skills lost during the pandemic and utilize the strategic interventions that are effectively working for all grade levels. Next slide, please. So the Hartford Public Schools grading policy and guidance was adopted in 2005 and revised in 2013. The purpose for the policy is to provide a clear, meaningful system to communicate the academic profile of a student to families and other approved institutions. Next slide, please. The grading guidance document states that the use of the minimum 50 as an F grade is for all marking periods except the final marking period. Based on data and discussions with administrators, there appears to be inconsistencies with the implementation of the grading policy and guidance document, which could impact on-track results. Therefore, we are in the process of developing a proposal to continue the grading with equity work. Next slide, please. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Liliana Cuevas, who will share information regarding the alternative programming.
Good morning, all. As Assistant Superintendent Niles shared, the Board of Education grading policy and the work of the post-secondary and the work that's happening with the post-secondary success, which also aligns and informs the work that we do in the centers, as they were designed to address the educational needs of our off-track and undercredited students with the aim of improving attendance, supporting credit recovery, and increasing graduation rates. As you can see, some of the bright spots in the centers within our past 5 years, that our students get to remain on campus and engage with their peers for their high school experience. Also, the work that we do is informed by the HBHS Portrait of a Graduate, and both our staff and students work together to design the academic plans for our students. The plans include achievable academic and time-bound benchmarks. And of course, we work closely with our school counselors to ensure that our students are meeting all their graduation requirements, and also to plan for post-secondary pathways. As of today, we have 506 students who have graduated within the past 5 years. And these are students that we know could have potentially dropped out without a lot of these support and services. And this year, we anticipate 165 graduates for this upcoming year. Assistant Superintendent Niles will now continue with the next slide. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Cuevas. We are also, as a team, taking a deeper dive into the comparison between the college acceptance requirements versus the Hartford Public Schools graduation requirements. Hartford Public School students would meet the requirements to attend UConn and CCSU with an additional year of a foreign language and physics, while all graduates will meet the requirements for Capital Community College. Therefore, HPS requirements would serve as a gateway for Capital Community College, but students would have to go beyond our minimum requirements to attend UConn or CCSU. We realize that not all students choose to go to college, but our main goal is for all students to have access. Next slide, please. Here we have the core courses by level. Level 4 courses include English 4, College Ready Math, Pre-Calculus and Calculus, Stats, Physics, International Studies, Psychology, Sociology, and a Level 4 of a World Language. 74% of our seniors are enrolled in a Level 4 English course, and more than half are enrolled in a Level 4 Math course. We have observed that not all high schools offer physics, calculus, stats, or a Level 4 World Language, so we are exploring various ways to expand curricular opportunities for our students. Next slide, please. These are the AP courses currently in use by high school and the number of students enrolled. Most schools offer literature and composition as an AP course, and there are currently 492 students enrolled in AP courses throughout the district. Next slide, please. For dual enrollment courses, teachers are either trained by the college or there is an established partnership in which students attend class on campus and are able to earn college credits. So at GPA and Hartford High, for instance, Professors teach at both the high school and the college. At HMTCA, they're also in the process of increasing their dual enrollment opportunities with Trinity. And Weaver offers courses through Capital Community College and the National Education Equity Lab. There are 522 students participating in dual enrollment courses. Next slide, please. Here we have the top 10 colleges that our students applied to, got accepted to, and are attending. Please be advised that the numbers specifically for attending may be a little skewed due to the consolidation of the community colleges. Next slide, please. So based on our continuous learning and understanding of the work, the next steps for the College and Career Readiness Department are to continue to explore the correlation between the grading for the 9th grade academies, review practical application of the grading guidance document implementation, and address inequitable implications impacting student coursework, and conduct a comprehensive review and revision of the program of studies and its alignment to the elements of the Portrait of a Graduate, school pathway development, and entry requirements for post-secondary options. And that concludes the presentation. So we will take any questions at this time.
Looking to my colleagues. Okay, I see Mr. Walker's hand. Mr. Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Niles, I have a couple questions, but I'm actually stopping because I'm trying to figure out, is it Niles Otler now? Is that correct?
Yes, Niles
Okay.
Album. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Niles Otler. So, in your presentation, there are several topics that I was wanting to elevate up to the board. One is the 50 rule. It's one that I've heard about since I've gotten onto the board, and I'm believing now the grading policy as stated kind of undermines some of our goals. And so I'm happy to hear that you're reassessing the grading. So I'd like to either be part of that or hear how that is going, because essentially, I want a grading policy that encourages students to do work. And so it appears in the current grading policy, it masks the fact that students can do no work and somehow get some grade at the end. That somehow undermines the idea of, integrity and rigor. So I'd love to see how that's going to be revised to strengthen student engagement in the learning process. Two, you mentioned world language, and I realize the state lowers its standard. Hartford seemed to lower theirs right along to comply with the state. And so our students before were able to go straight to UConn with their curriculum. Now they'd have to go over and above our curriculum. So I'd like to assess the possibility of restoring that. You're saying you're going to look at some ways to address the world language offerings. So I was going to bring that up to say, hey, let's hear how that's going to be improved, because as it stands, it's disappointing that our kids can only look forward to going to Capital Community College as their next step in terms of being a graduate. And I'll stop there because others may have questions, but at least I want to poke out those two things as areas of concern that I want to hear about how you're going to improve those situations.
Yes, we are extremely, thank you Board Member Walker. We are extremely excited to continue the work, and these have been our wanderings, so we are excited to move forward. We want to ensure that all of our students have access and they are competitive and prepared to attend any university or college. And so that's why we're engaging in this work.
I think Ms. Brody, Board Member Brody has her hand up.
I appreciate it. Can we take the share screen off just so we can? Thank you, Board Member Brody.
Thank you for that. So I'm definitely looking forward to hearing more about how we can make those classes available. You mentioned some schools and some classes that were not available at some of our high schools. So looking forward to hearing back to see how we're making that more equitable. And I'm hoping that, and this might not be your section, but at least noted somewhere with the people that are on this meeting, that all of these courses are actually in the NCAA portal for our student athletes. So they can, be NCAA eligible to receive a scholarship to play sports in college. Because they did some wonderful sounding courses, but if they're not uploaded into the NCAA portal, our students won't be eligible for certain classes. So I'm just hoping that there's an alignment there into the sports area in regards to our offerings. But thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much, Board Member Brody. That has been a part of our discussion as well. And so we are looking into increasing partnerships with other colleges and universities, and also taking a look at possible virtual opportunities as well.
Thank you.
All right, Board Member Walker, I believe your hand has definitely gotten more light-skinned in this. There it is. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm taking a second bite of the apple. There were just two things that I just needed to mention to you, Ms. Naz-Otler. One is you mentioned about science classes. It's been in my ear that some high school buildings have not had lab-based science. I'm thinking particularly of Buckley and that weird arrangement they were in. Clearly that wasn't intentional, but in that situation, we have to have a way to assure that young people in those settings have access to lab classes as part of their just day-to-day experience. And so put that on your list. Like we can't have a situation where someone is coming to say, we don't have a lab class in our building. That doesn't feel right to say. And one last thing, this is a personal issue in terms of the 9th grade, that kind of progress statement. When I was that age, you needed to have a 2-point average to be considered good to go without any issues. And I've seen our standards that folks can go all the way down to a 1.0. And I do agree that you can pass with a D. We have tier 2, tier 3 students at the lower level. It feels uncomfortable to me to say someone could be a 1.0 or 1.5 coming out of 9th grade, and we're saying they're really good to go for graduation. To me, if they were my child, I would flag them as having some risk. And so I would want you to maybe reassess having the standard that 2.0 represents you're good to go, and something else represents you have some risk that then maybe we would try to address to get you really on that track to graduate in good stead. So those are my final 2 points on that. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Board Member Walker.
All right, we are 7 minutes over here, and just want to make sure. I mean, I really believe the dialogue is good around this issue, around this particular agenda item, and I get a lot of energy from making sure our students have success and making sure that they're eligible and capable to go to, if not out of state, surely in state, and have a great academic career. So, Christina, do we have anything else on our agenda?
No, just make sure to review the reports whenever anyone, and for the public as well. They are attached in board docs.
All right, as was stated, there are reports attached to board docs. We know that folks do watch these meetings, so I want to thank you, thank each and every one of you all for being on this call. Please keep Chairman Rigger in prayer as he's, dealing with a family emergency during this time. So certainly, please let's keep him in prayer and keep him lifted up. And just want to shout out Miss Connie Ratley. It's good seeing you on the call. Chief Connie Ratley, for being on the call. And it's just so good to see and experience the work that you'll bring to Hartford Public Schools. Thank you to each and every one. Have a wonderful, sparkling, and bright day. And God bless.